The world's a dangerous place. Get the industry's original and most trusted laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. A laser and light systems will enhance your effectiveness and help keep you and your family out of harm's way.
Today on Gun Talk, what's going on with the ATF and that raid in California? And could it be coming to your state? Plus, the lineup from Ruger just gets better all the time, and we're giving away their very latest rifle. All that and your questions and range reports. Call Tom now at 1-866-825-5486 or just call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
All right, Tom Gresham here. It is Gun Talk. We're going to be talking a lot about, a lot of news out there. It's a lot of things going on in California, but all over the country. We'll also be giving away a cool rifle. We'll have the announcement of the folks who won our last giveaway. We'll do that in just a little bit. And we have a new version of a book about self-defense, true stories of self-defense with firearms, people who have saved their own lives and the lives of other people using firearms. A lot of things going on. By the way, if you'd like to join us, our number is 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. On Twitter, I'm at Gun Talk. We'll have a feed going on over there. If you want to shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com. A lot of ways to get in touch with us. tom@guntalk.com will get you here. Now, if you have been following my Twitter feed, you've seen this story. If you have not, maybe you picked it up. Or maybe this is all new to you. A major proponent of gun control, a major proponent of gun rights restrictions in California, a Democrat senator has been arrested, has been indicted for gun trafficking, not just semi-auto, but full auto machine guns and shoulder-fired rockets. Yeah. And one of the interesting parts is, as I look through the stories of the national media, just looked at another, an ABC story, not once in the article did they mention that he was a Democrat. Not once. Can you imagine? Well, you don't have to imagine. You see what happens whenever a Republican gets in trouble. It's Republican this, Republican that, Republican. And here we have a leading Democrat proponent of restrictions on gun rights getting arrested for gun trafficking, and they won't identify his political party. Yeah, not terribly surprising. But, you know, California is where a lot of things have been happening. We had the raid on Ares Armor, the BATF raid out there. We've got the list. They have the handgun registry. For those of us in the rest of the country, it's a bizarre concept, but a handgun cannot be sold in California unless it's on the list of official approved guns. Can you imagine? I always like to make this comparison. Can you imagine if the state said, we're going to have a list of approved books, and you have to submit them to us before you can have a book for sale in California? First Amendment, Second Amendment. Well, you know what? Checking in with us on what's going on out in California, Chuck Michel is an attorney. He's with Michel Lawyers, with Cal Gun Laws, and he has been on top of all of this for quite some time. Hey, Chuck, how are you?
Good, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we've got a number of different stories going on right now. I guess we should start with the Ares Armor raid, the BATF raid. Is there any news on that front?
Yeah, there's a lot happening out here. EP Armory makes a polymer lower precursor receiver, and I'm calling it a precursor receiver deliberately to avoid using the term 80% lower, because that's the conventional sort of nomenclature, but it's not legally or technically accurate. But these precursor lowers that you can then machine into a functional lower receiver have been sold for years in metallic, out of various metals, but this polymer precursor receiver became very, very popular lately because there's a bit less sophistication and less refined tools needed to finish the precursor into a final workable functional receiver. There's a question, the legal question hovering out there is whether or not these precursor receivers are firearms. If they're firearms, then in order to sell them, you have to have an FFL and keep all the paperwork that's associated with selling FFLs. If you're with operating an FFL, if you're in the business of selling them. So the ATF has what's called the Firearms Technology Branch, which is actually a helpful unit. I wish the California Department of Justice had one because it answers questions. It may not always get them right, but at least it gives people guidance about whether or not a particular product is a firearm or is a destructive device or is an explosive or any of the other terms that are used under the National Firearms Act or the Gun Control Act, so that you can figure out if something that you're trying to do is legal or not. Well, they submitted one of these polymer precursor receivers, lower receivers, to the Firearms Technology Branch. And unfortunately, the Firearms Technology Branch didn't understand the manufacturing sequence about how these receivers are made, and thought that at one point in time in that sequence it was essentially almost a finished receiver, much closer to being finished than it would need to be to not be considered a firearm. It's a bit technical, but the bottom line is that Firearms Technology Branch opinion is out there, even though we believe it's very, very wrong. And the ATF has relied on that opinion to go out and seize these polymer lowers from AP Armory and Aries Armory. And the Aries raid, and there's nothing else to call it, is what got the most attention, because these guys, there's two things going on here. One is they got the opinion wrong. It's not a firearm. It's not close enough to being a firearm. And if the polymer frame precursor lowers were, then all these metallic precursor lowers would have to be considered firearms too. And for years they haven't been. But the other thing that they did was just go about this in such a heavy-handed way. I mean, they go there and basically raid the place in SWAT regalia. They're all being very heavy-handed about how they go into the stores. They could have just knocked. These guys are not violent criminals. They thought they had a determination that these things were legal.
But don't you find that that's what the ATF does? I mean, I've been following this for 40 years plus, and that's what they do. Even if they're just looking for paperwork, and they could knock on the door and say, hey, could you hand us that? They go blowing through the doors with the SWAT guys, and usually with TV crews behind them to make sure that they show up really good in the media.
Right, and they will pull the plug on any camera systems that are inside the stores so that they get to decide what gets pictures taken and what doesn't.
They did that, didn't they?
This is part of sort of the paramilitarization of law enforcement in general. Unfortunately, it's not just the ATF. The LAPD is famous for this. The DOJ Firearms Bureau, as they're out there knocking on people's doors as part of the Armed Prohibited Persons Systems program, they're confiscating registered firearms from people who have no idea that that they've gotten into a prohibited category. And they go there without search warrants in those cases and knock on the doors and then intimidate people into making admissions about whether or not they have guns in the house. Once they make an admission, they have probable cause and they can seize the firearms. It's part of the MO, and it's really something that unfortunately gun owners are going to need to be not only aware of and exercise their Second Amendment rights, but their Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights too, as all these ill-conceived gun control laws take root in certain states across the country, and it's so easy to become an accidental criminal because these laws are so ridiculous. California's been dealing with it for 20 years, but now it's coming to other states and local governments.
Now, if somebody's in California and they run into something like this, I know that you are representing at least some folks. Who should? I'm a California gun owner, and they come to my door and knock on it and start asking all sorts of questions. What's the correct thing to do at that point?
Well, try not to open the door. I mean, because as soon as they if they have a warrant, then open the door, step back, and call your lawyer and don't say a word. Right. But if they don't have a warrant, don't open the door. I mean, if they have evidence to come into your house, they're coming in no matter what you say. You're not going to talk yourself out of trouble. You might very well talk yourself into trouble, though. So you don't want to say anything. If they start asking you to say something, you have to say, I'd like to talk to you, but my lawyer won't let you. That's typically what I tell my clients to say. Blame it on me. Blame it on your lawyer. Your lawyer will not let you cooperate. But you just can't talk.
Right.
Everything you say will be used against you, and not only that, it will probably be spun in a way that you may very well not have meant it to make you look bad.
You may not even recognize it when it comes back to you at a courtroom. You go, yeah, but that's not what we were talking about, or I was joking, or this or that. And you go, yeah, better off just to not say a word. Okay, so if people get into trouble with this, who do they contact? Cal Guns Foundation? Contact you directly?
Well, the easiest thing to do as far as these lowers are concerned, at least, is just shoot me an email at helpdesk@michelleLawyers.com. I'm putting together a statement. I'm representing both EP and Aries, and they are being flooded with questions. They're each getting like 400 emails and phone calls a day.
Ooh.
I'm trying to put together a statement that's going to explain this situation from beginning to end and exactly where we're going to go. For those folks who bought one of these, I can tell you this much. The ATF, the middle levels of the ATF, are in a state of confusion, frankly, about what to do with these individuals who bought them. The agents that I've talked to have said the individuals who bought them are not a target of any type of investigation. They're not really being perceived as suspects. They may be more along the lines of witnesses. That's because, there's still a private, under federal law, you can still do a private purchase of a even if it is a firearm. If you go into a store and buy a firearm and you're not a prohibited person, you didn't break federal law because you didn't fill out a 4473, so you didn't say anything illegal or untrue on the 4473. Now, the person who sold it to you may have broken the law, but the person who bought it usually didn't. It's only the people that bought or sold in quantity that the ATF is really interested in looking at. But their lawyers have told us that it's going to take them months to get to the bottom of all the stuff that they've gotten, and that they've the property and the records that they've seized. In the meantime, we're working very hard at the higher levels at the ATF and with the Firearms Technology Branch to get this opinion straightened out, and to get the ATF to take some kind of a position that they can tell people what they want them to do.
Right. Hey, Chuck, hold on a second here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to talk about what's going on with micro-stamping, and also kind of get your take on what's going on in California likely to or already oozing across the rest of the country. We're talking with Chuck Michel. If you want to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. That'll get you in here. I'm Tom Gresham, and this is Gun Talk.
You may be a new shooter, a longtime gun owner, or even a police officer or soldier. No personal defense handgun is fully equipped without a Crimson Trace laser sight or light. Get the confidence and reliability you need to protect family, home, and country. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge, Crimson Trace.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit SigSauer.com today.
No matter what gun you have, you want it to hit harder, shoot faster and flatter, and be more accurate. You get all that with the ammunition from Double Tap. Double Tap's experts select the best bullets, then load them to higher velocities while keeping safe pressures. Shoot small groups. Shoot farther. Use custom hunting loads in your handgun or rifle. Even fire 2 projectiles with one shot. DoubleTapAmmo.com. That's DoubleTapAmmo.com.
Have you ever held a Walther? Walther handguns are an extension of your hand. From the moment you hold the ergonomic grip of a Walther, you feel the difference. Today, Walther continues its long tradition of expertise in firearm design with the introduction of 3 incredible new handguns: the smooth PPQM2, the tough PPX, and the cool PPKS22. Log on now at WaltherArms.com. Walther at your favorite retailer.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk.
Oh, welcome back. We're talking with Chuck Michel from California, CalGunLaws.com, also MichelLawyers.com. Chuck, in addition to the Aries EP ATF raid, you got all sorts of things going on out there. The one that we've been following for a while is this mess with micro-stamping in California. It's required now that handguns coming on the registry have micro-stamping, and the manufacturers tell us micro-stamping is impossible. It's actually mythical. It doesn't exist. What's the status right now?
Well, the big problem is not just that new models have to have micro-stamping before they can pass the tests that handguns need to pass before they can be added to the roster of handguns that are approved for sale in the state. And there are several lawsuits challenging that, but in the meantime, that's the state of the law. The bigger problem for the moment is that firearms that have minor improvements, and most firearm manufacturers do make little tweaks, little improvements to their firearms, existing make and models, and they don't change the make and model number every time they, beef up a part or put a little more tension in a spring or something like that. But those little minor improvements, ironically, in the eyes of the DOJ right now, are being perceived as a new model. Not a new model in terms of the manufacturer's perspective, but a new model in the eyes of the law. And all those new models, before they can be listed on the roster of handguns approved for sale, have to have the micro-stamping. So all the existing Smith & Wesson and Ruger handguns that have been sold for years in this state a lot of them are falling off the roster. This is pistols in particular, not revolvers. Right. But hundreds of guns are falling off the roster of handguns that can be sold. So it's a gigantic problem. Now, micro-stamping itself is a separate and bigger issue, because for the future we're not going to be able to get these guns on the roster, the truly new models, unless we do something about that law. The NRA News has just put out a great video about this. I have a link to it on my website at CalGunLaws.com. Ginny Simone did a great piece about and interviewed the Ruger CEO and showed how it works on the assembly line. It really illustrates how this technology just doesn't work. So I hope people will give that a look. In the meantime, there's a bill pending in Sacramento that would at least allow these previously tested and approved guns to get back on the roster, even if they don't have micro-stamping. And we'll be pushing that along with the National Shooting Sports Foundation to get that passed and at least expand the options for folks on what what pistols they can buy.
Well, and Mike Pfeiffer, CEO over at Ruger, he made the statement I thought was fascinating. He says he thinks that in a couple of years there will be 0 semi-automatic firearms on the California roster. In other words, there will be no guns available for sale through dealers in California.
Well, that's true for any handgun that wasn't, any pistol that wasn't on the roster that has had, or that was on the roster and that has had some minor modification made, some minor improvement made. Those will all have to be, they won't be eligible unless they have micro-stamping, unless something changes.
Yeah,
so the selection, the selection in those glass display cases is getting pretty slim.
Yeah, his point was that every gun. Yeah, his point was that every single model is going to have some improvement made to it, some change made. Maybe we change the type of metal we use in the safety lever, just for instance, and that's no big deal, except that it is a big deal because now it means you have to resubmit it, and you can't resubmit it if it doesn't have micro-stamping. So his point was eventually they're all going to go away.
Exactly. Or here's the ironic consequence of this. The manufacturers may, in order to keep their guns on the roster, not make improvements. So they discover that they could make a little improvement here or there, but they won't make them because they know if they do, it triggers the micro-stamping requirement. So ironically, this micro-stamping beast is causing us to have, or could cause us to have, less safe firearms in the display cases.
Exactly. By the way, we're talking with Chuck Michel, and Chuck, it's Michel, one L. So Michel Lawyers is MichelLawyers.com, just so people get that right. Take this idea of, because I'm thinking about the California politicians who put this into place with the microstamping and, essentially, in effect, banning many, if not all, semi-autos, handguns in the state. And I'm thinking, but they don't care. And now I'd like for you to juxtapose that with this news from last week of Leland Yee.
Yeah, well,
here's an anti-gun politician who has been charged with being a gun trafficker.
Yeah, that story is just, it's the gift that keeps on giving to us, because it just gets curiouser and curiouser by the day. It's like reading a Tom Clancy novel. I mean, this guy was involved with Chinese organized crime syndicates, talking about international gun running. I mean, this is the kind of guy that, everybody in the gun rights movement has been saying for years, that's the kind of gun laws that we want to have to go after people like this. He's the guy that we need to throw the book at. I mean, this is heavy artillery, international arms smuggling that he's engaged in a conspiracy to do in order to get money for his campaigns. This is a guy that came out of San Francisco local politics. He was a city council member there, and then ran for state office, got into the state legislature, and realized, as a lot of them do, that if you pick a fight with the gun rights advocates, then you get your name in the paper. And that's how you build name recognition, and that's how you build a political career. So he was running for Secretary of State because
Amazing.
He's termed out, or was going to be termed out in December. Thankfully, he's been kicked out now. But yeah, he never met a gun control law he didn't like. But in the meantime, he's doing deals to sell influence. It's all influence peddling.
Exactly. Chuck, let me jump in here, Chuck. I need to get you to tell people how they can get more information about what you're up to. What website should they go to?
CalGunLaws.com has it all. And that sends you any place else you need to go.
Okay, CalGunLaws.com will get you there. And a lot of things breaking, and you can stay up with what's going on. And the important part here is, folks, and thank you so much, Chuck, is that what happens in California does make its way to the rest of the country. So whether it's Connecticut or New York, we understand that, but it also goes to places like Alabama and Louisiana and Kansas and Nebraska. And you know what? It goes to the place where you live. That's why you have to be informed of what's going on.
Have you taken your family, friends, and kids shooting lately? You're listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, and we'll be right back. Want to be a guest on the show? Drop us a line at info@guntalk.com. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, back with you, Tom Gresham, 866-825-5416, or just dial 1 Tom Talk Gun. That'll get you in here. You can also shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com. We give away stuff here. We have a new contest we'll be announcing here pretty soon. Actually, it's a giveaway, not a contest. But let's see. I want to announce our winners of last month's giveaway. The console vault winners, we said would be 2, and each of them would get their pick of anything a console vault made. They're the vaults that go in your vehicle, your SUV or your truck, or the ones that go in the wall. So we have David R. in Ogden, Utah, and Malcolm C. in Amarillo, Texas. So if you have not heard from us yet, you will be hearing from us before too long. Congratulations. And we'll have, let's see here. Yeah, we're going to have the announcement of our new contest in just a little bit. But you know what? If you want to get a head start on it, go to guntalk.com/win. And we're giving away something that's, it's unique. Up until now, this gun has not existed, and it's a really cool project. So if you want to go see what it is, go to guntalk.com/win, WIN. Let's go to line 3. Clark's with us out of Milford, Utah. Hey, Clark, you looking for a gun part?
Yes, I am. A barrel for a high-standard pump, 28-gauge, model 2800 Flight King.
Ooh, Man, that goes back. How long you had that?
Well, it was given to me as partial payment for some services that I did probably 20, 25 years ago.
Okay, so you got a partial gun as partial payment?
I was given the gun as a partial payment for services that I did.
Right. So did it have a barrel with it then, or what happened to the barrel?
Yes, it did have a barrel, but the local gun store tells me it's been altered and is now illegal. So I wish to make it legal by purchasing a barrel.
How has it been altered? Did somebody cut it off short?
That would be my guess, yes.
Do you still have that barrel?
Yes, it's still attached to the gun.
Okay, I'm going to one suggestion, because I'm not sure how they measured it. Do you have an idea? Did you measure it? Or did they measure it?
I have not measured it, nor do I know anyone that has.
Okay, here's how you. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to measure it correctly.
Okay.
Because that's our first step. Is close the breech. Close the slide on the pump. Drop a wooden dowel down the barrel, and mark the dowel right at the muzzle. Pull the dowel out and measure the mark to the end, and then you'll know exactly how long the barrel is for legal purposes. And the cutoff point, so to speak, on a shotgun barrel is 18 inches. If it is longer than 18 inches, even if it's an eighth of an inch longer, you're legal. If it is shorter than 18 inches, it falls into a different category, and you want to ditch it.
Right.
Okay, so that's the deal there. Now, as to where to find a barrel for this, wow, an old gun like that, you'd almost have to maybe even find another shotgun and use it for parts. There are two places I would send you, I guess, for an old thing like this. One would be gunbroker.com, because they have like gazillions of guns being sold there all the time. And the other would be the folks at Brownells. Are you familiar with Brownells?
I'm not.
Okay, Brownells is like the most incredible source of information and parts and accessories and everything else. It's BROWNELLS. Let me give you a phone number, okay? You got a pencil or anything to write with?
I do.
Okay, 800-741-0015. If you will give them a call tomorrow when their techs are in, you want to talk to one of their gun techs, and they're probably not going to have this part, although you could ask them. But the thing is, their techs know everybody, everywhere, every gunsmith out there, and they may say, I think old Joe over in Helena, Montana still has some of those and can get you lined up. And so between Gunbroker as a place to go, and it's gunbroker.com, and look around there and just put in a search for that particular shotgun. And then Brownells, that's going to be the best suggestions I can give you as a place to find it, that barrel. But here's the thing, measure it first, because if it's not shorter than 18 inches, you don't have to replace it. If it is, it should go into the middle of the lake somewhere, because that becomes an NFA Class 3. The feds don't like that kind of barrel.
Well, that's what I was told when I took it into the gun store to identify what it really was.
Right.
And he didn't even want it in the store. He said, go take it out and put it in your car, and then we can talk.
Okay, so it must be pretty short then.
Well, that's my guess as well. That it's going to be shorter than 18 inches, because he didn't even want it in his store.
Yeah, measure it, and if it is, get rid of the barrel, seriously. Just get rid of it. Take it off the gun and make it go away. It's as simple as that. I don't know who cut it off, if that happened, but what you want is a good legal barrel for that. I wish you luck with it, Clark, and listen, thank you for the call. Let me get Glenn here on line 2. Glenn is in Easton, Maryland, asking about ammo being banned. What's up, Glenn?
Yeah, I've been reading that 5.45 by 39 steel core is going to be banned by the ATF, because apparently someone's now made a pistol version of that rifle. So therefore, it's considered armor piercing. Have you heard anything about that?
Yep, you got the story. Here's what happens. You can have armor piercing ammo for rifles, steel core ammo, but you can't have it for handguns by law, because that becomes a quote unquote cop killer bullet. It's nonsense, of course. But what that means is that they're going to, my understanding is they're going to stop the importation of steel cored ammo for the 5.45 by 39. So, and that's strictly because somebody made a pistol for it, and there we go. That's what we got. So that's my understanding.
Mess a lot of people. That should mess a lot of people up, won't it? That have
yes, it is.
Gun chambers in that. Yeah.
Absolutely, and no doubt it is in fact going to mess a lot of people up. So, if you happen to have some of that ammo, I'm not even sure what happens if you have that ammo. Maybe somebody can call me. Okay, if you've got some of the steel cord ammo, can you still shoot it? 866-TALK-GUNS. Be right back.
Hi, I'm Michael Bain. You know I hate cleaning guns, so anything that makes that job faster and easier is definitely a plus. And that's where bore tips come in. These reusable, lint-free cleaning swabs make cleaning a breeze. And the tighter-fitting bore tips do a better job on barrels than cotton mops or patches. Hey, it's a dirty job. Let Bore Tips help. To find a dealer, visit boretips.com.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the Vada Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading, vital gear from Gun Talk. That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle combines features of the Ruger American Rifle and innovations of the 1022 Rimfire Rifle to appeal to all bolt-action enthusiasts. It features a modular stock system that provides comb height options for scope or iron sight use, a power bedding integral bedding block system for outstanding accuracy, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, and a 1022 style rotary magazine for reliable feeding. The Ruger American Rimfire Rifle, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
You already know Liberty Safes are great values. Now they're offering an even sweeter deal for Gun Talk listeners. At LibertySafe.com, click on the Fat Boy Safe and type in Tom. Liberty will give you up to $250 off your purchase. Protect the things you value most. LibertySafe.com, click the Fat Boy Safe, promo code Tom, save up to $250. That's LibertySafe.com. LibertySafe.com. Who is this Tom Gresham, and what's with all the gun stuff? Check out our FAQs at guntalk.com or email us your question or concern to tom@guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk.
866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com, and over on Twitter, throw a comment in over there. In fact, say something provocative. Tick people off. It's always fun to start a fight. It's like starting a bar fight, when you walk over and say, hey, let's you and him fight about it. And you get them started, then you sit in the back and watch the whole thing happen. Pretty typical deal. So anyway, we're having fun. Again, 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham. The news out of California. We're tracking the microstamping out there. We're tracking this incredible story with Senator Leland Yee. I mean, we're talking about like the Chuck Schumer of California gun bans and gun control, getting charged, indicted on gun trafficking, offering to sell full automatic, i.e. machine guns, and shoulder-fired missiles or rockets. And this is their key Democrat gun control guy in California, and he's a gun trafficker. Wow, embarrassing. It was kind of like all those mayors in Bloomberg's illegal mayors against guns. By the way, did you know that they've taken down the list on the Bloomberg mag site? Now you can't even go to see who's a member there. I guess they got embarrassed for all of their guys going to the federal penitentiaries and getting charged with child molestation, with sex crimes, with gun offenses, with bribery, with corruption, and more of them going to jail all the time. After a while, every time that happened, of course, we would say, hey, here's another one of Bloomberg's buddies going to jail. These are the guys who want to take your guns away, the gun banners with Bloomberg's group. So they just took the whole list down. You can't even go to the website and see who they are now. Yeah, there's a lot of integrity there. Line 1, Brian, Albany, Oregon. Albany, Oregon. Didn't know there was one. Hey, Brian.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I just wanted to give you props, sir. I got involved with Oregon Firearms Federation, Kevin Starrett's group here in Oregon about a year and a half ago. A lot of it has been because of listening to you and other talk show, other gun talk or type radio stations, podcasts mostly. But over the last 12 months, I've worked about a dozen gun shows, machine gun shoots, and other sportsman shows and stuff. And I've probably talked to anywhere between probably 150 to 300 people at least, and signed them up. And just want to encourage those guys who are on the fence out there that are thinking about getting involved. That, one person can't make a difference. Just people I signed up. I've talked to probably 3 times as many people as I signed up at any given gun show. I worked one for Albany Rifle and Pistol Club here in Albany last month, and I probably saw 5,800 people walk through the gates. I probably talked to maybe 10% of those. But we can get out there. We can make a difference. Here in Oregon, we've been able to stop every major gun legislation that's come down that rivals what they've been trying to pass in California, our neighbors to the south. You were just talking about Mr. Lee down there. I can't even call him a senator because it's despicable what he's done. And if we sit here on the sidelines and say, I can't do anything, I'm just one person, they're going to win. And they have. What's it take for evil to, be victorious? Good men do nothing.
Yeah, just exactly. Let me ask you a question, Brian, because you were on one side of this. You were interested, concerned, whatever, but you weren't taking action, and then something happened, and now you are active, you are involved, you're getting things done. What happened to get you to move?
Aurora. What happened in Aurora? A gun-free zone, a lunatic, somebody the people that already identified that had a problem, and the lies and stuff that were told by gun owners and the industry and everything else, that followed on the heels of the shooting in Connecticut. All the stuff that was coming out was just so atrocious, so horrible, so wrong about me and my friends. I shoot USPSA out every month, and we're active shooters. We're not terrorists, we're not anything else. We are the true definition of an active shooter. Some of us shoot thousands of rounds a month. That's an active shooter. An active shooter is not some idiot that walks into a mall like we had here in Oregon, into a movie theater, into a personnel office on an Army base and start shooting up. That's not an active shooter. That's a terrorist. That's a bad person. That's not who I am.
Okay, so you basically, you got tired of having the media describe you as being the bad guy because you're a gun owner. Now, let me ask you this. You're involved in competitive shooting.
Yes.
What kind of percentage of the people who are competitive shooters that you know have also gotten involved actively in gun rights? Because I know a lot of competitive shooters don't.
They're actually very few. And that's one thing I've been trying to do more of is reach out at our monthly USPSA matches. I always try and get up and try and tell everybody, hey, this is what's going on, get involved. Because I don't see those guys at the gun shows. I've been telling people, competitive shooters don't really go to gun shows because they've got all the guns and ammunition they need. They might go in there if they're there to check out something or whatever else, but I'm trying to reach out to more of the shooting community doing machine gun shoots. We have a great Saddle Butte machine gun shoot every year down at ARPC, which is next month. And, we have an opportunity to come out and shoot some of these Class 3 firearms that you won't ever get a chance to shoot anywhere else. I spent 5 years in the Army, and I maybe got a chance to shoot maybe 6 or 7 different types of, Class 3 type firearms. There's literally hundreds of different varieties at this one machine gun shoot.
Well, let me jump in. Hey, Brian, let me just say this. I just got to thank you for calling because your description is exactly where a lot of folks are. They're aware, but they're not active. They haven't made the commitment. I just got to congratulate you for doing what you did of getting off the couch and getting involved. It's part of our True Squad deal, which is a lie that's left unchallenged becomes the truth, and we're not going to shrug it off anymore. We're all going to get involved. Thank you for what you're doing, and keep at those competitive shooters. We've got to get them out. Hunters, oh my gosh. We got to get hunters involved in gun rights. That's a huge force. And you know how you do it? One at a time. You talk to your buddies. You talk to them. You get them involved. You have the discussion. If you don't bring it up, nobody else is going to. It really is on us.
You don't have to agree with Tom to participate in the show. Call now with any of your concerns about guns, gun rights, or particular firearms, or suggestions for your shooting activity or personal protection. 1-866-825-5486. Gun Talk is coming right back.
All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to have Chris Bird, the author of Thank God I Had a Gun, stories about people who've used guns to protect themselves and others. Great book, great stories. When people say, well, why do you people carry guns? You just say, this is it. Well, thank God I had a gun. Or, what's the flip side of that? The horror of not having it when you needed it. I can't even imagine how horrible that would be. Line 3, Peter's with us, Anderson, South Carolina. Hey, Peter.
Good afternoon. The man with the shotgun barrel that had been cut off, maybe too short, and I don't think we ever did hear exactly how long it was or close to how long it was. Another thought would be the Gun Parts Corporation, what used to be Numeric Arms. But the other thought that came to mind was if it's been cut off, he probably lost any choke that was on it. And if it's close to being legal, maybe his gunsmith could permanently attach a poly choke or a cuts compensator, something like that. He'd have the benefit of having the choke, and he'd be legal.
It's a good thought, and I've had several people mention the poly choke idea. You'd have to have it attached permanently, of course, welding or silver soldering. But here's one thing to be aware of. A poly choke can be disassembled. So you're not going to get the value of the entire length of a poly choke. Because anything that can be unscrewed and taken off is not considered part of the barrel. So it may, instead of getting like a full 2 inches, I guess is what I'm saying, you may only be getting an inch. And so, and like you, I wondered, he never did say how long it actually is, maybe just not wanting to mention that, and that may be smart. But yeah, I think the poly choke or a cuts compensator, boy, that takes us, you must be an old dude, because I remember what cut compensators are.
Well, my dad had the shotgun that he brought back. He was an MP in Hawaii in the war, and he brought back a Model 12 Winchester, and he felt like the barrel was too short. I think it was legal, but he had put a cuts compensator on it to be sure that it was okay on the length.
All right. Listen, Peter, thank you. My mom had a Browning A5 semi-auto that she cut the stock down to about 12 inches length of pull. She was about 5 foot zip, a little, short lady. But she had a cut compensator on it. She shot trap with that gun. And, man, anybody that shot trap and knows if you had somebody on your squad with a cuts compensator, it was loud. It was terrible. And you hated to be on a squad like that. But my mom liked it and used that that was kind of the early version of interchangeable chokes. It was also the gun she kept for self-defense in the home, and we knew if we came home late as teenagers, we better not be sneaking in. We better be making a lot of noise and letting her know who the heck is coming in the house, because she had a shotgun and knew how to use it. Simple as that. Line 2, Mike in Pensacola, Florida, also about the poly choke. Hey, Mike.
Well, that was my first guess at it. I also have a 12-gauge that's got a cuts compensator on it, and it's been checked by game wardens and the like. Now it's FWC here, Florida Wildlife Commission, but they've checked it many, many times, and nobody's ever said it was too short. But I'm beginning to believe it may be, because I think it's like 21 inches. I haven't measured it with a dowel rod, but I'm going to do that this evening when I get home.
Well, you're at 21 inches. You're fine. I mean, it's an 18 inches is the cutoff length, so you should be just fine. And appreciate that. Look, for those of us who are still, or people out there who are still wondering, it's an arbitrary number in the law, and all you're doing is cutting the length off of a tube, a metal tube. If it's 18 1/4 inches long, it's legal. If it's 17 3/8 inches long, it's illegal. It's what they coerced Randy Weaver into doing, cutting the barrels off shorter. And that's what the whole Ruby Ridge thing was about. It resulted in the deaths of several people. What I thought was murder by an FBI sniper. Horrible, because he cut a tube off. You can go cut a tube off at Home Depot. It's no big deal. But you do it on a shotgun barrel, and it can end up putting you in the federal penitentiary. All right, coming up, we're going to be talking about self-defense with guns, true stories, people who have saved lives. It's called Thank God I Had a Gun. You want to hear it.
No black helicopters here, just the facts about gun rights and gun ownership. This is Gun Talk.